Smoke had never been the sort of man to carve notches in his gun butts, which was a good thing because by now he'd have just about whittled them down to nothing. He didn't keep track of the number of men he'd killed, and he didn't lose any sleep over them either. Every man he'd pulled the trigger on hadn't given him any choice, but this kid's overbearing self-confidence wasn't any reason for him to die. If he just shut up his trap and go on about his business, he might grow up and amount to something someday. Unfortunately, the chances of that happening didn't look too good.
How about it, Jensen? You willing to test your speed against a real fast draw?
The four men who had come into Longmont's with him had ambled over to the bar and ordered beers. They nursed the mugs while watching their partner confront Smoke. They didn't show any signs of wanting to take a hand in whatever play the redhead made, but Smoke knew better than to ignore them. Fortunately, Smoke also knew he could count on Lewis to keep an eye on the men. Johnny McVeigh behind the bar had a sawed-off greener handy on a shelf under the hardwood, too. Between the two of them, those four strangers wouldn't stand a chance if they tried to horn in. Smoke still hoped he could head off trouble.
I'm not going to draw on you.
And I'll have to shoot you down like the dirty yellow dog you are.
That's enough, Fletch.
One of the men set down his half-empty beer mug and stepped away from the bar. The redhead stiffened. With a grimace, he looked over his shoulder at the man.
You stay out of this, Coolidge. It ain't any of your business.
The boss told me to keep an eye on you boys. That makes it my business.
But I've been waiting for a chance like this. Chance to prove how fast I really am.
A chance to die, you mean? You're not in the same league as Jensen.
I killed Hank Wilton in Tuscosa.
Hank Wilton was done as a fast gun 3 years ago. My 80-year-old grandma could have beaten him to the draw that day you faced him.
That's a blasted lie. Wilton was still quick on the draw.
Not quick enough. Come on over and have a drink with the rest of us. Then we'll head back to the herd.
Smoke noted that the man named Coolidge was somewhat older than the others, in his late 20s maybe. A dark-haired man with a lean, hard-planed face and dark, observant eyes. He was a tad below medium height, and his body was wiry. If Smoke had had to pick out the most dangerous one in the bunch, it would be Coolidge. Fletch was all bluster, although bluster could be dangerous too if it was reckless enough, and Fletch just might fit that bill. The mention of a herd caught Smoke's attention too. He wasn't aware that any of the ranchers in the valley were putting together a herd to drive to market. It was the wrong time of year for that. It stood to reason that the cattle these newcomers handled were freshly arrived in the area as well.
There'll be time for a drink once I've shown the world that I'm quicker on the draw than the famous Smoke Jensen. Then folks will be talking about me when the subject of fast guns comes up. Gib Fletcher, he's the fastest one of all, they'll say. Maybe they'll even write some of them dime novels about me.
Smoke's patience for the youngsters yammering ran out. He wore crossed gun belts with a Colt 45 holstered on each hip. He flicked his right hand down toward the gun butt on that side. Fletch saw that and his eyes widened. He'd been standing tensely ready to make his move, shoulders hunched, head forward a little, eyes peeled for even the smallest motion Smoke might make. When Smoke's right hand jerked, Fletch's right hand dived for his gun, and a look of mingled fear and excitement lit up his sunburned face. Before Fletch could clear leather, Smoke took a quick half step forward and smashed his left fist into the middle of his face, flattening his nose and pulping his lips. Fletch flew backward into Coolidge. Coolidge caught him, probably out of instinct and self-preservation. If he hadn't, Fletch would have crashed to the floor. The young cowboy's gun had slipped back into its holster when Smoke hit him.
You best take the Colt away from him while you've got the chance.